Hey guys, it's Ethan, and this week's topic is boundaries. Sorry if you can't hear me super well. I didn't have a good setup this week, so I'm doing what I can. I'm like sitting on the ground, but whatever. So anyway, boundaries is a tough thing to kind of talk about when it's with somebody that it needs to be talked about with. Like, if that makes sense, like, it's something that you just gotta do and just kind of get out of the way. It can be really awkward at the time, but it's important to do, and you will thank yourself for it later if you just kind of get that talk over with. So, anyone that you're ever going to be, like, intimate with or anything like that, you need to talk to them about your boundaries, and they need to talk to you about theirs, because, like Ian said, regardless of whether you're trans or, cisgender or, like, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. Like, everybody has boundaries, so, in reality, this topic pertains to more than just us, because everybody should probably do it in their relationship at some point or another. So, I suggest doing it before the first time that you get intimate with somebody, because that would just be terribly awkward, I think, if something went wrong, and then then it would just be kind of hard to recover from that. Like, if they did something you were uncomfortable with, or if you did something they were uncomfortable with, like, no, you just don't want that. So, there's not really a ton to be said about this topic. It's a really great thing to think about. It's definitely an important thing. There's just not really a lot to be said about it, other than you need to talk about it, because it just kind of is how it is. So yeah, I don't know. Just as far as, like, having the conversation goes, I would try to do it, don't do it like, be like, oh, like, we're gonna get intimate, so we should probably talk about this now. Like, it should be kind of like, do it before that. Like, just, if you can just kind of sneak it into a conversation, just be like, hey, I think we should talk about boundaries, I think that's something we should do, and they should be perfectly okay with that, and they should probably agree with you. Let's hope they do, because, once again, it's an important thing for anybody in a relationship to talk about. So, yeah. And as far as the successfulness of the conversation goes, you need to make sure that you cover as many points as you need to cover. If you don't like this being touched, say it. If you don't like that being touched, say it. If you are okay with things in certain places or under certain circumstances, talk about that. Like, you need to cover all your bases. You need to let them know everything that you are okay with, so they know their boundaries, and they need to do the same for you, so you know their boundaries, because, like, violating boundaries can, like, severely hurt a relationship of any kind, because that's, like, a violation of trust, and that's why it's important to talk about it, because if you don't, and then somebody does something to, like, mess it up, it's still a violation of trust. It's just kind of, your guys' own problem that you didn't talk about it first. So, yeah. I don't really know what else to say about boundaries. Other than that, the talk is probably not going to be the funnest to have. But if you're close enough with your partner that you're planning on getting intimate with them at some point, then you should be perfectly okay with talking about something like that and not letting it get super awkward and super weird, because it's just something that has to happen. So it shouldn't be that bad. And talking about stuff outright can be awkward, especially if you've never done stuff before. But just get past the awkwardness. It's gotta happen sooner or later, and it's important. So just do it and get it over with is all I really have to say. Like, just do it, get it over with, do it before you get intimate with somebody, and make sure that you cover everything that's, like, at least super important to you. I mean, you don't need to sit there and like list off, you know, like some people do this and I don't want to do that. Some people do this and I don't want to do that. Oh, but I'm like okay with this. Like you don't have to like go through a list of all the possible things that people can do, but like anything that's super important to you, like if you have pretty bad dysphoria about your chest, be like, well, I just don't like my chest being touched, or like I only like it touched, this way or whatever, like, yeah, just cover all your bases and make sure that you talk about everything that needs to be talked about, because if a boundary is violated, then it's going to make it very difficult, in my opinion, to come back from that, because even if you could talk it out and you're like, okay, it's okay, the fear, the fear and gross feelings are still there, and that's a hard thing to bounce back from. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about boundaries. I can't think of anything else more specific, so if you got any questions, just let me know in the comments, and yeah, hope you're all having a great week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.